Cricketer, the town of Tokyo, Japan. From the moment she stepped from the plane, weary-eyed from the long trip, she became the center of attention at the World Cup Gymnastics Championships. The scene seemed to belong more to a rock star than a world-class gymnast, but her composure never wavered as an endless sea of cameras flashed and clicked, and the questions never stopped about this mysterious girl who has made the most incredible comeback in gymnastics history. Last November at the World Championships in Strasbourg, France, she was overweight and sluggish. There was talk of difficult times for her and rumors about problems both physical and emotional. But recently, any doubts about her ability were dispelled as she won the all-around competition and 2 gold individual medals at the European Championships. Here in Tokyo, back at her hotel after momentary relief from the fatigue of travel, she politely tolerated a press conference amid continuing flashing cameras. But this single-minded athlete thinks only of her sport and the excellence that is expected of her. She was about to face the challenge of a top field of world-class gymnasts. Nellie Kim, Olympic and world champion in the vault. Nellie is qualified for the vault and the beam competitions on the basis of her performance in those events during the all-around competition, which has been completed. Nadia's Romanian teammate, Amelia Eberly, has qualified for all 4 disciplines for the women: floor exercise, uneven parallel bars, vault, and the balance beam. Representing the United States, our national champion, Kathy Johnson, in the floor exercise, in which she is the world bronze medalist. She also qualified for the uneven parallel bars. Incidentally, her male teammates, Kurt Thomas, Bart Connor, and Mike Wilson, will all be seen on the program tomorrow afternoon. Last Sunday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you saw Stella Zakharova of the Soviet Union as she exploded into prominence by winning the all-around competition here at the World Cup Gymnastics Championships. So today, it's the women at the World Cup, and more of the unprecedented comeback of the girl we've now come to call the new Nadia. Stay with us then for the individual event competition of the World Cup Gymnastics Championships from Tokyo on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
"59 years ago, the U.S. Open came to the Inverness Club in Toledo for the first time. 50-year-old Harry Varden, the giant of the game.
In Tokyo, Japan. The best gymnasts in the world have gathered here for the World Cup Gymnastics Championships. And inside, a large crowd as well as the athletes are being entertained by a group whose performance symbolizes martial skills of ancient Japanese warriors. What a contrast to the modern athletes who await competition. Nellie Kim, senior member of the Soviet team, for instance. And Nadia Comaneci of Romania, with new confidence after her victories in the European Championships. Nadia is here with her talented teammate, 15-year-old Amelia Eberly. Then there's Kathy Johnson, the United States national champion. And, of course, the new women's all-around World Cup champion, Stella Zakharova of the Soviet Union. That rather exotic scene launched the festivities here in the National Yoyogi Gymnasium the evening before the championships began. And now, as a capacity crowd awaits the start of competition, just a note before moving on. If you check TV Guide, you noticed we had originally scheduled the women's and the men's championships for the program today on Wide World. In order to expand our coverage, we're presenting an extended version of the women's competition this afternoon. But be sure to check with ABC's Wide World of Sports tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern Time for the men's championships. Now, the women will compete today in 4 events for which they have qualified during the all-around competition. And I'm sure that most of the attention is going to be on Nadia Comaneci and Stella Zakharova, who have already thrilled these large crowds with their performances in the all-around. I'm Bill Fleming. I'd like to remind you that every competitor who is here by invitation only. Only 35 of the very best in the world are competing. Tell us what to look for.
Thanks, Bill. While they're warming up on the uneven parallel bars, I'd like to tell you a little bit about it. Obviously, there's no longer any kind of stopping on the uneven bars. They're also getting away from any superfluous moves such as sitting or doing any kind of front hip circles. They're now moving quite a bit in and out of the handstand. As a matter of fact, most of the moves begin and end in that upright handstand position. They've moved the bars out so that they can do more giant swings, as a matter of fact. The most important thing to look for here is swing, continuity, and most of all, exactness. Let's look at Kathy Johnson. In talking about exactness, after Kathy's mount, she goes right into a handstand, she pikes down, and if she doesn't open that pike at just the right moment, she won't have enough swing for this full twist. By the way, this is Kathy's super all-around performance we saw last week. She has complete continuity, and that means absolutely no stops until she dismounts. And she continues on through her performance without any form breaks.
Our first competitor on the uneven parallel bars is going to be the defending World Cup champion, Steffi Kricker of East Germany. And she comes into the finals in first place with 9.85.
Excuse me, Bill. You know, she's tall for a gymnast. She's approximately 5'3", and that beautiful move right here. Orbit back flip. And that's tall, and most of the time a disadvantage on this apparatus. Watch this giant swing. Oops, a little bit of a break there. She meant to go all the way over.
Looks like she's rushing it a little bit, Kathy.
Well, it's important to keep moving on this apparatus. And it's, like I said, difficult for a tall girl. Full twisting, comb each, dismount.
That will be kind of interesting to see now, whether the judges are going to keep her in first place.
You know, Bill, because of her height, she spreads the bars as far as she can so that she'll have room between them. And even though she does that, watch here, she hits the bar and then tries desperately to get all the way back up into the handstand on top of the bar. Now, even though she got caught short at the top, there was no break in continuity, and she just kept the routine flowing.
And look at this, 9.80 for Steffi Kricker of East Germany. That gives her a 19.65 total. Very strong.
Well, Bill, our new all-around World Cup champ, Stella Zakharova, is up next.
Sears National.
Zakharova of the Soviet Union. She needs now a 9.85 to tie for the lead with Kricker.
Started out with a front somi mount, right into a drop to low bar. Here she is in that very nice technique, handstand full twist. Having a little trouble up there, not bad though. Comb each dismount. Nice exercise, shorter than most bar routines, but all the requirements are there.
15-year-old Stella Zakharova of the Soviet Union comes from Kiev in the Ukraine and was tied for second coming in to the finals. She's been quite a story, which we'll be talking about a little bit later.
In regular speed, you can barely catch the complexity of these moves. Many gymnasts have done this dismount. Now watch, her arms are really pulling that bar down, almost like a chin-up. Legs kept up and out, chest and arms thrust forward for a front somersault, and at the same time, she made a half turn, spotting the ground for a really balanced landing.
9.75 for Zakharova, and that is not good enough for her to take the lead. Here's little Vera Cherna of Czechoslovakia, next competitor in the uneven parallel bars. She's tied for fifth with a 9.70. That seems strange, Kathy, to call a 9.70 a tie for all the way down to 5.
Well, the difficulty's getting such that, you know, just a few tenths can make the difference between first and last place. She works very well in the handstand position and goes into those difficult moves I was talking about. Beautiful. Front flip. She has no intermediate moves whatsoever. Here's her dismount. Front leap. Nice exercise. Comb each dismount. Beautiful.
Little Vera Cherna, who couldn't weigh more than about 75 pounds in the uneven parallel bars. I think she's going to pick up some ground here.
You know, Bill, on Vera's handstand, her head, hips, and legs must be in a straight line as she makes this half turn. Otherwise, she'll fall out of it, making these stalters almost impossible to complete. Very nice, right to the handstand.
Here's the score, 9.85 for little Vera Cherna. Gives her 19.55, ties her for the lead with Zakharova. Nice performance. Tied for 5th coming into the finals of the uneven parallel bars. If you were with us last week on Wide World of Sports, you saw her give really an outstanding performance to gain that 9.70. And Kathy, at that time, you remarked about the difficulty of her routine, and yet the fact that she was able to overcome the pressure.
Well, not only the pressure, but she's in her own mind. She's been playing games. This is what she has said. She started to doubt herself a little bit and say, what if, you know, I fall? She really got it together in the all-around competition. She looks strong in practice going right now, just before this competition. And I think she can do it. I hope she can get her mind together and really do it here.
Well, the goal looks almost unobtainable for Kathy Johnson because she would need a 9.95 in order to tie for the lead. But just to make it to the finals is quite an honor.
She starts out with a half twist to the high bar. This is a critical move coming up. Handstand pike on. She'll go right to another handstand. Beautiful. Doing a great job. Full twist. That was the most difficult part of her routine for her, but she's moving well. Form is good. Straight body. Right to the high bar. Now watch this, fly away with a full twist and a nice exercise.
Very nice exercise for Kathy Johnson from Shreveport, Louisiana.
You know, after her mount, Bill, her half twist to the high bar, right here, she does a better soul circle handstand than she did in the all-around competition, mainly because her legs are together, and she holds onto that pike longer, making the handstand a lot easier. Good full twist. Her legs are slightly apart, but not too big a break. She keeps moving. The continuity is great. Good position, and what a stretch.
And here it is, 9.75 for Kathy Johnson. That gives her a total of 19.45. Not quite enough.
Amelia Eberly is next, Bill. She has a chance to win here.
15 years old. Here's another Romanian girl who is only 15, Amelia Eberly, tied for 2nd coming into the finals, 9.80.
She has endless endurance. I've yet to see her miss anything in this routine in practice. There's a vault over the high bar. Brand new move. Originality is what the judges are looking for, and she certainly has that. Here's an interesting move. Beautiful. Little variation to the routine. Not exactly that difficult, but very original, and the crowd likes it, and I'm sure the judges do too. Nice dismount. Fine exercise.
Little Amelia Eberly of Romania, who was 3rd in this event in the World Cup in '78. Hoping to improve on that. She needs a 9.85 to tie Craker for the lead. Here it is, 9.80 for Eberly, and that gives her 19.60, only 0.05 of a point away from first place, but in a solid 2nd.
Let's take a look at those two very interesting moves. First of all, she does a free hip right to a handstand. Now watch how much bounce she gets out of that bar. Enough to get her over that bar, clear those feet. She kips to the high bar, and she's going to do a move called a Christ carry. She kips to the high bar. Now it's important that she gets enough swing from the bar. She lets go of the left hand, reaches down for that bar, makes a half twist, very smooth. Continues her glide, catches the high bar, and now she'll do the Comaneci dismount, named after her teammate Nadia, because Nadia invented it. Great handstand. She presses down. That's where control comes in. Now she makes that half twist out of that front flip. Beautiful landing.
Good news for Amelia Eberly. They've just announced now that her final grade is going to be 9.85 in the uneven parallel bars. They've upgraded her by 0.05 of a point, and that will put her in a tie for the gold medal with Steffi Craker, 19.65. So there it is, officially now, the final. Craker and Eberly tied for the gold medal. Then Zakharova, Cherna, and Kalmar.
Her first gold medal on the vault. Both vaults scored a 9.8, but we felt this one was the more spectacular of the two. It's a handspring front with a half twist. Look at the muscle tone. Everybody's been talking about it. I guess when you lose 20 pounds, that's what happens. Here we go. Now watch the height. And here comes that twist. great landing. Here with me is my colleague, Gordon Maddox. And, Gordon, we're really looking forward to the men's competition tomorrow on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Moves where you can actually grasp onto the balance beam, but they're aerial movements. Not just one aerial or one backflip, but 2 and 3 in a row. The thing to look for here is flexibility and leg strength.
What makes this great beer?
5 coming into the finals.
You know, Bill, although Nellie doesn't have one difficult trick after the next, she does flow from one movement to the next. It's a kind of a maturity you only get from having competed in as many Olympics and World Championships as she has. Beautiful leap. I'm sure she's done this exercise in her sleep. Nellie ties the dance steps so well with the tumbling. There's a backflip, solid as a rock, right into another one. Very nice. She's working with a great deal of confidence right now. There's a flexibility move, one of the things the judges are looking for. They are only allowed a couple of stops, and she, as you can see, is moving very nice, very well from one movement to the next. There's a Valdez right into a back walkover.
Incidentally, listen to those cameras click. It sounds like we're in a den of rattlesnakes.
Well, you know, Bill, when you're up there, you don't even hear those things. You're concentrating so much on what you're doing, each move, how it should be done technically. Very soft arms. Getting ready now for back handspring, right in your double twist, dismount, a little bit low on that landing, but she didn't put her hands down. There shouldn't be too much of a deduction there.
Nellie Kim of the Soviet Union tied for 3rd going into the finals.
Bill, this is what I'm talking about. Combination tumbling. Not just one backflip, but 2 right in a row. Shoulders are square. She lands solid as a rock. Very difficult to do.
9.70 for Nellie Kim. That gives her a total of 19.45. Currently in 1st place.
When is a flexible line trimmer good enough to be a toro?
Minnesota. What am I doing here all by myself in the rain? Well, we're here for tomorrow's North American Soccer League game between the...
Interestingly enough, she and Nadia were tied for the lead coming into the finals with 9.80. And so it's the young budding star, Eberly, challenging the veteran.
You know, Bill, at the Olympics, Nadia said her biggest challenge was her own teammates, and she's absolutely right. Eberly has been living almost in the shadow of Nadia, but not any longer. She's really coming on strong. She seems to be consistent in almost every international meet she's been competing in the last year.
Well, she was 3rd in the World Championship. So she gave evidence in that last, when Nadia won it, that she was going to be a comer.
Exactly. Watch this. Full turn on her hands. Boy, those shoulders have to be right over that balance beam. This is where alignment is so important. Getting ready for a big move. Sorry she didn't put in her backflip. I thought she would put it in there. Full turn. It's those little moves, those full turns that sometimes you take for granted and you fall, but she was right in line on those. Here it comes. Back handspring right into a back layout. Little bend in the knee, but because of the difficulty, those judges aren't going to take off anything. Watch this, a chest stand. A little bit different. Back roll extension. Boy, she's moving with such confidence now.
You mentioned leg strength earlier. She certainly seems to have it.
Oh, she has strength in every inch of her body. Here's her dismount. A little bit long on that. A little hesitant. Double pike. You can see why. A very difficult dismount. Double pike dismount.
So little Amelia Eberly, 15 years old, from Romania. As we take a look at her mount in slow motion there.
You can see the strength.
9.7 to take the lead.
Excuse me, though. You can really see the strength on that move. Not only does it take balance, and she gets ready now for that backflip. Great control in the air. As you can see, she barely uses her arms.
9.90. Does she take the lead by a whopping amount? I guess so. 19.70. And that gives Nadia something to shoot for. Nadia now the only competitor that could keep Amelia Eberly from winning the gold medal.
And here she is. Nadia Comaneci wastes no time.
Incredible confidence. Great control in practice. Let's hope she can keep it up here.
Who will ever forget the gold medal in the Olympics? Won the World Championship last year.
Solid as a rock on that move. I think in the all-around competition and in this individual apparatus championship, I've never seen such good balance beam routines. Especially in the all-around. Nobody missed. Here you go. Aerial walkover. Right into another aerial cartwheel.
And listen to the cameras click away. Incredible.
Split leap. Beautiful split in the air. Complete extension. Getting ready for 2 back handsprings. Right in line. Shoulders. Whoops. Just a little break there. Boy, she moved out of it so well. That's one of the things that I'm sure she practiced in the gym every day. Moving out of moves that you have difficulty on. Here's that dismount. Cartwheel, double twist. Great ending.
Really stabbed it. Nadia Comaneci needs a 9.9 to tie, a 9.95 and win it from her countrywoman, Amelia Eberle.
Same mount as Everly, only she moves into a different move. There's extension, little dance steps. Very nice arms.
How much taller is she now than she was 3 years ago?
I believe she's approximately 4 inches taller, which is a big difference.
Never shows any emotion. I've never seen anybody with a countenance that cannot be read.
She really tends to be mysterious. There seems to be some kind of a barrier there. Bill, there seems to be some kind of trouble with Nadia's score. The judges are conferring. They're all huddled there. Our coach Bella doesn't seem to be too upset, but... Well, Bill, now we know. 9.80 for Nadia. That puts her second behind her teammate, Amelia Eberle. You're supposed to fill the requirements, which are a minute 15 seconds. She went only a minute 12. What a disappointment it must be for that man. He looks upset.
From the people who brought you Die-Hard batteries.
Romanian gymnastics coach, and I imagine he's a little bit disappointed right now when he got the news of why Nadia Comaneci did not win on the balance beam. Kathy, explain it.
Well, she was 3 seconds short. The judges took off 0.15, and she would have received a 9.95, so she could have walked away with the balance beam.
I just don't know how an experienced performer like that could make that mistake. How could she be 3 seconds short?
Well, I believe she rushed her routine, and you know, with the pressure that she was under, she followed her teammate. Eberle got a 9.9. She must have been just too involved with what was happening before her and just rushed the routine.
Well, I'll tell you, if there was pressure then, it certainly is going to be pressure when she comes into the floor exercise. As you can see, she's warming up now for that. I'd say the heat's on Nadia.
Well, Bill, think of her situation. Here she is after making an embarrassing mistake which cost her the balance beam championship, now warming up for the floor exercise, knowing that the crowd and her coach expect perfection because on her performance last week that we saw, she received a perfect 10. I remember one of the first times I saw her, we couldn't even pronounce her name. It was before the Olympics at Madison Square Garden at the American Cup. I was with Warner Wolf.
4 feet 11, 86 pounds.
There's her last tumbling run. A double twist. Beautiful. Look at the height on that. Oh, great. She is, what can you say? She's just unbelievable.
14-year-old Nadia Comaneci of Romania. A perfect score.
The first time I've never seen anyone get a 10. And she deserved it. That's what's so incredible.
Is this the child who charmed 1 billion people? Is this the fragile Nadia Comaneci, heroine of Montreal? It is, but 2 years and more later, 20 pounds heavier and much, much older.
And so this was the way that Jim McKay and I found Nadia at the World Championships in Strasbourg last fall. Her presence was shrouded by rumors of serious emotional problems and a loss of competitive fire. Although she did finally win a medal, the competition unfolded with disappointment.
Now the usual murmur of the crowd as we come to Nadia Comaneci. She approaches the uneven parallel bars. Now remember, she trailed by only 2/10 coming to this exercise, but Mukina has already turned in a 9-9. She needs a 9-9 to stay even.
It might be hard for her to do it. Like I said, it depends on what the judges are looking for. She's doing exactly the same routine she did. Oops, a fall. That completely knocks her out.
So
0.5 of a point.
We spoke earlier of the changing of the guard. It looks like it most certainly has happened. Nadia Comaneci completely coming apart on the uneven bars where she thrilled the world in Montreal. Much more like the old days of the tins.
Yes, the confidence is there. She's going into 2 back handsprings, blind moves, cannot see that beam coming. Okay, getting ready now for a dismount. I think she might do
Nadia
something here.
Comaneci.
Nice exercise. Great composure, beautiful.
That's the first time the crowd has really exploded for her. They've been with her all the way, but this time they think she really did it well.
You're looking at Nadia Comaneci as she returned to the top in Copenhagen, Denmark. With these scintillating performances, she captured the all-around title of the 1979 European Women's Gymnastics Championships last weekend. Nadia, the name that rolled off lips the world over after the '76 Olympic Games. An international symbol of perfection. Since then, however, she's been a shell of her former self. After all, where does one go from the top of the mountains? Now, though, we're seeing a revitalization, a resurgence towards supremacy.
Now here in Tokyo, I finally had a chance to sit down in an informal way and talk with Nadia. As many times as I've talked with her, I found it very hard to reach this mysterious young woman. Nevertheless, we spoke of many things. I tried to learn about her alleged difficulties, about her problems of overweight and training, among other things. And with the help of an interpreter, Mrs. Hajiwara, I spoke with Nadia and her coach, Bella Caroli, and in the interest of time, in the following edited interview, unnecessary translations have been deleted. Because of physical changes in her body, what were some of the first indications of problems that she had with her gymnastics?
După campionatele europene de la Praga, am întrerupt.
After Prague Championships, I stopped the training and I was 1 year in another town and began to work with other coaches. This year was lost because I interrupted training. I couldn't solve anything. I couldn't get accustomed with the coaches, and then at the Strasbourg Championships, they caught me unprepared. I couldn't prepare enough, only 1 month. Now, after the Strasbourg Championships, I'm back in the same team with the same coach.
I understand it must be very difficult to leave your coach and pick up and go somewhere else and start training, but also at this time, didn't you gain an awful lot of weight?
Asta, corpul când se dezvoltă câștigă multă greutate.
Da, dar am și întrerupt din cauza că am întrerupt antrenamentele și am câștigat.
Din cauza asta. Yes, it's because I interrupted. It's just because I interrupted the training.
What kind of diet did you go on? There's lots of girls in the United States that are on diets. Quite a few gymnasts I know are trying to find out the secret of staying thin. Maybe you can tell us what you do.
It's no secret. Well, I began by training, but I aged normally. But anyhow, she thinks that the most important factor was just the training, hard training.
Hard training?
Yes. This contributed mainly to lose much weight.
Well, there's no specific...
I asked her if she has a secret or something.
No secret?
No secret.
No breads or spaghetti or...
Iar te întreabă. În mod special, ai evitat spaghetele sau pâinea sau ciorbele, da? Da, de dulciurile, da. Of course, it was diets, especially no sweets or no soups or spaghetti or something like that.
It's the old secret, diet and hard work. Knowing that you were having problems with your routines right before Strasbourg at the World Championships, what was she thinking and feeling before that competition?
Am avut timp puțin de pregătire, aceea a fost concursul ca
Just before Strasbourg competitions, she had difficult conditions, generally speaking.
What is that? I don't understand. What does that mean?
Because condiții mai lipsă de pregătire. She just couldn't prepare as well as she wanted to.
How do you handle the pressure now that everybody has seen you at your best, and they saw you when you were kind of on the way down, and once again you have a sensational comeback? How do you handle this kind of pressure? What do you do to block things out?
La exercițiu.
Nu mă gândesc că trebuie să nu mă gândesc că nu e nimeni în jur și să-mi fac exercițiu.
First, I forced myself to think that no one is around me, and then just concentrate on my performance.
She commented at a press conference at the European Championships that her coach Bella Caroli was responsible for her sensational comeback. Is that, maybe she can elaborate a little bit more on exactly what she means.
Da, pentru că eu cu dânsa am început gimnastica și...
Well, I began training with him and began to work with him at 6 years old. I got accustomed to work with him, and we are all the time together, good friends.
Bella, I'd like you to describe in your own words Nadia.
De la bun început, Nadia a fost o fetiță talentată. Desigur că prin multă muncă calitățile s-au îmbunătățit, s-au perfecționat și pe lângă calitățile fizice s-au dezvoltat și s-au creat niște...
From the very beginning, she was a little talented girl. Of course, by hard work, her abilities improved, and besides her physical qualities, she developed psychologically so that she could concentrate. This helped her to become great. It didn't happen suddenly, but it was a slow process, and now she's a complex gymnast with much experience of competition and of movement. She knows what she wants and knows to concentrate and to give great performances.
Yes, Bella said it. She's still able to give great performance. But after talking to her, I wonder what goes on inside her. In any event, another performance is coming up. The floor exercise will begin in a minute.
Hello, I'm Jim McKay reporting live again from Metropolitan.
Bronze medal in the World Championship. She has to be pleased with her performance so far, and I'm sure that's going to give her confidence on this event. She starts out with her most critical move, round off flip-flop double pike. Beautiful, what a great opening. I think Kathy is one of the most lyrical gymnasts. Beautiful arms. All the dance moves seem to be right in line. Front tumbling pass, handspring front, round and flip up, double twist, little low with the shoulders, but not too much of a deduction will be made there. This is one of my favorite parts. This is the old Kathy. Confidence, poise. Let's hope she can get that last tumbling run, keep the endurance. Another double twist from a round-off, good landing. A nice ending for a terrific day's competition.
Kathy Johnson from Shreveport, Louisiana, representing the United States. She is the only woman gymnast from the United States here in this World Cup competition. Moments ago in the beam contest.
She did a very high double pike, almost over-rotated it. Bill, just watch. He really gets that crowd going.
Well, if she gets it going, wait till Zakharova comes up.
Right. Second tumbling run, 1.5 twist, step out to a layout. Very nice. You can see the crowd likes that.
into the final, she had a 9.85. That was only third best. Can you believe it? Fourth best. There was a 10, 9.95, 9.90. I'd say this competition is very keen here.
Tough competition. Here's that tumbling run, round off flip-flop. Another double twist. Endless endurance, Bill. What do you think of that ending?
Ragdoll. Little Amelia Eberly, who is the gold medalist in the balance beam, performing here before this very enthusiastic crowd in Tokyo.
Let's watch your opening run once again. Round off flip-flop, really holds this layout position, pikes in very quickly with a good landing, little low on the shoulders.
Look at this, 9.90 for Amelia Eberly. And that puts her right into first place with 19.75. That is something for Comaneci and for Nellie Kim and for Zakharova to shoot at. And speaking of Nadia, here she is. She had a perfect 10 coming into the finals. Those scores, which you saw last week on ABC's Wide World of Sports in the all-around. That was the first round of this final competition.
That 9.9 that Eberly received on balance beam unnerved Nadia a little bit, but not here. Beautiful opening. She's really gained a great deal of maturity in her dance. She extends everything. She's not a little girl anymore, as her coach said. She looks like a young woman out there performing. This is one of my favorite tumbling runs. Round off flip-flop, 1.5 twist. So smoothly into a double twist.
Oh, and the height.
Gorgeous. There's a little transition here. Boy, she's pouring it on now. She knows what she has to shoot for.
Well, naturally, with the little mistake that she made in the beam on the timing, I would say that she has had the adrenaline flowing now.
Right. Little rest here. One last tumbling run. Let's hope she pulls it up. Run up, flip-flop, double twist, just perfect. Bill, she could have another perfect mark here.
Was this routine primarily the same as she had the 10 on?
Yes, exactly. In fact, even a little bit better. I don't know how you, maybe she'll get a 10 too.
Oh, and what an applause for Nadia Comaneci. 3 flips in slow motion.
Very strong in her tumbling. Round off flip-flop. Lays that double pike out. Beautiful. Perfect landing.
Well, that could make it very interesting because that would give her 2 10s if she got that 10 in this competition. It would more than make up, I guess, for the bobble.
And there it is.
There it is, a 10 for Nadia Comaneci. Just as we set it up the top. And do I see a smile?
I think we saw a smile just for a moment.
A perfect 20 score for Nadia Comaneci.
Whoa! The best in the meet.
She had a 9.95 coming into the finals. That was only good enough for second place because of Comaneci's 10. And as you saw earlier, Comaneci has scored another 10.
Bill, she goes from one difficult tumbling run to the next. That was an Arabian to a double twist. Look at that split in the air. Almost hyperextended. You know, when you get up next to her, she's much smaller than she looks here on the television set. She's only about 5 feet tall. Endurance, round up flip-flop, another double back, done just as well as the first double pipe. What an exercise.
Stella Zakharova of the Soviet Union, who last week on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you saw win the all-around gold medal here at the World Cup Championship in Tokyo.
What a powerful tumbler. So that you can understand her first tumbling run, watch this double pike and think of adding a full twist to it. And this was done at the end of her routine.
There it is, another 10, as Zakharova of the USSR has scored a perfect 10 in her floor exercise, giving her second place. Can you believe that?
Isn't that incredible?
19.95, only 0.05 of a point away from Komenich. Oh, but what a thrill for a 15-year-old to get a 10 in this kind of competition. And there is the veteran Komenich looking on, no doubt feeling her pursuers hot behind her teammate Eberly and young Zakharov.
Take a look at Nadia. Once again, 2 perfect marks. She's proven that her comeback at the European Championship is not just a temporary feat. She's back for sure, and as you said, Bill, she's being pursued not only by a new face, Stella Zakharova, but also her teammate, Amelia Eberly. No matter how you analyze her competitive stature, she's always fascinating.
The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Brew Knowledge. Coordinating producer, Dennis Lewin. World Cup Gymnastics produced by Doug Wilson. U.S. Open preview produced and directed by Jim Jeanette. Our producer in Minnesota was Bob Goodrich. Director, Craig Janoff. Coordinating director, Joe Assetti. Associate directors, Vince D'Addario, Bob Lanning, Mary Cavallina, and Carol Eddy.